Good evening. Happy Wednesday. This is a Wednesday edition of Talking Sports with Evan. Thank you so much for tuning into tonight's show. Appreciate you all. It's April 2nd, and second week in a row, I'm doing a Wednesday edition of the show. Last week, Matt Carroll on talking Milwaukee Brewers baseball, getting a preview of the season, and I am going to discuss the first week of the Brewers season. A week ago, yes, or tomorrow, the Brewers had their opening day in New York, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts from the first four games of the 2025 season. It's going to be a fun conversation and some concerning as well. Following that up, going to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks. Talk some Giannis, talk some Doc Rivers, talk some Doc Rivers a couple weeks ago with Tristan Thomas, which you can find anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on here on X at Evan with Sports, on Facebook and YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan. Find past episodes there as well. Talk to him a little bit about Doc. I'm going to give my thoughts at this point on Doc Rivers right now as well, as the Bucks are currently sitting in the sixth seed, looking up at the Detroit Pistons. And if they want to get out of the sixth seed, they got some work cut out for them. And if they want to get back to the fourth seed, they got even more work cut out for them to get there. They are currently pulling up the standings here. They are a game behind the Pistons and 3 games behind the Indiana Pacers. So Bucks got some work cut out for them. Going to talk a little bit about the Milwaukee Bucks and Doc Rivers, as I mentioned. The NFL had the owners meeting. Some rules are going to go into effect. Some were tabled, and I'm going to give my thoughts on those, as well as talk about some comments that both Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst gave during the owners meeting as well. So as I mentioned, you can find all past episodes of Talking Sports with Evan on my YouTube page at Talking Sports with Evan, or on X at Evan with Sports. Facebook's starting to delete live videos after they are there for so many days. So some of those are going to be leaving pretty soon. And you can also go to my Substack, Sports Thoughts from Evan, and you can check out every past episode of Talking Sports with Evan as well. So, sports Thoughts from Evan.substack.com, and you'll find my interview with Matt Carroll, with Tristan Thomas, Drew McGord, Kevin Holden, Glacier, Gangrel, Al Snow. You name it. I have a lot of different guests that have been on the show in the past. So you can find all of them there. You can also add Andy Herman, Emlyn Thomas, lots of interviews there. So, first topic of the show, as I mentioned, if you want to comment on anything too, you can comment on X at Evan with Sports, or on the live video on YouTube or Facebook, and give your thoughts on anything that I am currently talking about. So, first thing first, the Milwaukee Brewers. The 2025 season is about a week old. The Brewers 2 series done. They beat the Kansas City Royals in their homestand today to improve the 2-4, and two good wins in a row to get to 2-4. But the first 4 games of the season for the Brewers are probably some of the worst baseball I've ever seen before in my 41 years on Earth. A lot of that being a baseball fan. The Brewers gave up a leadoff home run on opening day to fall 4-2 final score against the Yankees. They gave up 20 runs, 20-9 defeat this past Saturday against the Yankees, giving up 9 home runs in one freaking game is what the Milwaukee Brewers gave up. 9 home runs in one game to fall, as I mentioned, 20-9. Then they gave up 12 runs on Sunday to lose 12-3. Very three games of baseball that were very bad. And then they wrapped it up with a 11-1 loss on the home opener against the Kansas City Royals, and didn't look very good doing it. Now, the last two nights, they got a nice shutout last night against Kansas City, winning 5-0, and now winning 3-2 today in extra innings. And you got to tip your hat to Freddie Peralta today. Went 8 innings, under 100 pitches. One of the big things I've been critical on Freddie Peralta is he wastes a lot of pitches trying to get guys to chase, starts nibbling off the edges, and guys just aren't chasing. And next thing you know, by the fifth inning, he's up near 100 pitches, and now he's got to leave, and the bullpen's got to finish it up. That's been one of my biggest pet peeves about Freddie Peralta, is he had a tendency to waste pitches. Today, nope. He did not waste any pitches, attacked the strike zone, got 8 strikeouts, only gave up 2 hits, and he just completely dominated the game from his first pitch, other than a double and a RBI single he gave up after the Brewers took a 1-0 lead in the bottom of the first. After that, he retired 19 in a row in that domination. But it hasn't all been sunshines and rainbows, as I mentioned, with the Milwaukee Brewers. I have some serious concerns about their pitching, because right now they really only have 2 real starters in the rotation. They got Freddie Peralta and they got Nestor. They got Nestor. What are the guys they got from the Devin Williams trade? Nestor Cortez, who got totally rocked. His ERA right now is 36, to show you just how bad he got rocked. His first 3 pitches of the 2025 season ended up in the bleachers. First time in baseball history, if I'm not mistaken, that a game opened up with the first 3 pitches all going for home runs. I have some concerns about the Brewers pitching. They had to go Elvin Rodriguez on Monday for the home opener. They went Savelli on Sunday. He's on the IL for 15-day IL now for a hamstring issue. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. And they're going with guys that are more bullpen guys right now to try to get through until you can get Jose Quintana back. And I think April 15th, or at least he can be back. And he's got to get stretched out. Woody, probably around the same time frame, if not the end of the month, is when he would probably be expected back. Tobias Myers, he's on a rehab assignment. I think he's going on a rehab assignment. He should be back hopefully soon. But the Brewers have to try to get through between now and when guys start coming back from the IL, try to get through there without digging themselves into too deep of a hole and sitting at 2-4. And the pitching staff and the bullpen just completely got destroyed in New York and through one game against Kansas City. Now, the nice thing about baseball, and I say this every year, I didn't say it last week when I had Matt Carroll on, but I seem to say this every season. Baseball is a roller coaster. You can't get too high on the highs. You can't get too lows on the lows. You just got to go with the ride and see where the excitement takes you. And the Brewers are a talented team. The pitching obviously is a big question, but the Brewers are a young, talented team that if they can get hot, get people healthy, they're going to be a fun team to watch all summer long. And I think their ceiling is making it in either as division champions or a wild card and getting past the wild card round, and then I think dropping out of the division round. That's where I think the Brewers' ceiling is, and that hasn't really changed. I'm not in a panic mode yet. I'm not anywhere near a panic mode, but I'm frustrated. But the thing is, baseball is 162 games. We've only played 6 of those 162. A lot of season left and a lot of time left to get things right. Now, batting has been a concern too. When you're looking at the Brewers batting right now, and needless to say, it's not very good. The Brewers are struggling to put runs on the board. They're struggling to get hits with runners in scoring position. Obviously, not a big surprise there. And they're struggling, to even get on base. Frankly, they're struggling to get on base even. And After a 5-strikeout game on opening day for Jackson Cheerio, his strikeouts are still high, but he's been much better, going 3 for 5 today, as his average up to 286. But one of the biggest problems right now with the Brewers is Christian Yelich went 0 for 1 today with a walk and a strikeout. He is currently batting 118 with an OPS of 612. Your catcher, William Contreras, went 0 for 4 on the day with 2 strikeouts. He's currently batting 100 with a 380 OPS. Rhys Hoskins went 0 for 2 today with 2 strikeouts and a walk. He's currently batting 133 with a 449 OPS. And Garrett Mitchell, 0 for 3 today, two walks. He's currently batting 200 with a 533 OPS. And Joey Ortiz, batting 208, did go 2 for 4 today, so he got his average up today. He's currently batting 208 with a 490 OPS. That is not good. That is not good any way you paint the picture. It is just not good. And the Brewers offense needs to come around. The pitching needs to get better. The offense needs to come around. You got the top of the order with Bryce Terang, who's off to a good start, 320 average, 773 OPS. Sal Frelick, 273 with a 658 OPS. Jake Bauers is hitting the ball pretty well so far this season, as well as doing a good job pitching too. But the Brewers just aren't getting enough. They went in the home opener, Yelich, Hoskins, and Contreras went 0 for 9 with a walk and a hit by pitch. Not good enough. Today, Yelich 0 for 1, Contreras 0 for 4, Hoskins 0 for 2 before being pulled for pinch hitting Jake Bauers. Not enough. And the season's young. These averages can get shot up in a hurry, but the at-bats just aren't looking good. And I look at the Brewers through the first 4 games, and even through the first 6 games overall, and you're trying to figure out what do the Brewers do well right now, and it's not much of anything. They're really not doing much of anything really good right now. And I know you're probably thinking I'm just talking about how it's, this team's going to be fun to watch, but at the end of the day, they're just not really doing anything really well right now. But there are some positives with the Milwaukee Brewers so far. Bryce Terang, who I mentioned, Sal Frelick, who I mentioned, and Isaac Hollins. He got the extra outfield spot due to some injuries. And he has done really well. He's got a couple doubles on the year, had a double today, had a double on Monday. He's just seemingly getting on base right now, and he's doing everything you want from your basically your number 5 outfielder with that. But I get it. It's frustrating seeing the Brewers where they are right now through 6 games at 2-4 and not looking very overly good during it, but it's going to be okay. The Brewers are going to be okay. I still think they're a team that's going to finish above 500. If they can get healthy, that's going to be the big thing. But we got Jose Quintana coming soon. We got Woody coming soon. We got Tobias Myers coming through. We got Ashby coming soon. DL Hall at some point. So the pitching is going to be there. The bullpen's going to settle down. But, hey, we have 2 games in a row that the Brewers have not given up any runs in the first inning. And Freddie Peralta got out of the first inning today without giving up any hits or anything, without giving up any base runners. 3 up, 3 down. Those are wins in my book. And I guess that will do it with the Milwaukee Brewers. Switching to the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks they got the win yesterday, but they're frustrating 41-34 currently on the season. As I mentioned before, they're a game behind the Pistons for the 5 seed. Right now, if the season were to end, the Milwaukee Bucks would be heading to New York City to take on the New York Knicks, who are sitting at 48-27. That is where the Bucks would be right now if the season were to end today, and that would be a quick 4-0 series, as the Bucks do not stand a chance against the New York Knicks unless there's some and I don't wish for injuries unless there's some potential injuries. It's just not going to happen. If they can get the 5 or even the 4 playing the Pacers, I like the Bucks' chances with or without Dame moving on to the second round, but they're not going to go much further than that, depending on injury situations and matchups and whatnot. But when I look at the Eastern Conference overall, Cleveland at 60-15, Boston at 56-19, Boston 4 games out of the 1 spot, and I just don't see any way it's not Boston coming out of the East. And I applaud Cleveland and what Cleveland's done this year. They have a coach I wish we could have in Milwaukee right now, and in Kenny Atkinson, but Boston's got to be the class of the Eastern Conference. They just really do. And then when you jump to the Western Conference, it becomes a huge crapshoot because you got the Oklahoma City Thunder, best record in the NBA at 63-12. Then you have the Rockets, second seed, shockingly, at 49-27. Then you have the Nuggets at 47-29, the Lakers at 46-29, Golden State at 44-31, Grizzlies at 44-32, Timberwolves tied for 6th, currently 7th at 44-32, the Clippers at 43-32, Mavericks 37-39, clinging to one of the play-in games, and you got the Kings at 36-39. So the Western Conference, a lot more. The Eastern Conference is very top-heavy. Western Conference pretty spread out, and I have a hard time picking a Western Conference team to come out there and play in the NBA Finals. If I was a betting man, I would say it's going to be the Thunder or the Nuggets. With Joker, it's just hard to bet against the Nuggets. And the Thunder at times just look so good, especially on defense. And they're 34-5 at home, 29-7 on the road. They've won 10 in a row. So they've shown that they can win at home and on the road. And not too many teams can do that. Boston's 24-12 at home, 32-7 on the road. Cavaliers are 32-5 at home, 28-10 on the road. So the Thunder have shown more so than anybody that it can play both at home and away. But I think right now I'm going to go Boston and Oklahoma City for the NBA championship, with me leaning towards Boston winning it all. Just have a hard time betting against them come playoff time. But that's what I have right now. And then moving to the Bucks. If the Bucks have another one and done in the playoffs, if they get sent home after one round of the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row, I guess the question is going to be, now what? Last year, you didn't have Giannis at all. Dame missed a game or 2. Middleton was playing on 2 bad ankles and almost willed you to a couple victories, but you ended up losing Indiana. The year before that, you lost to the Miami Heat. Giannis got hurt in game 1, didn't come back until I want to say game 4. And he still wasn't quite like himself, still wasn't moving the best in game 4 and 5. If the Bucks, and right now you got Damian Lillard out with a blood clot in his calf, and I'm surprised that it sounded like he may be back come playoff time. I have a hard time believing it, but hey, he probably sees a doctor daily, weekly, and has get more medical attention to really see if that clot is breaking up. And with the blood thinners and all that, maybe it'll get broken up. But I just know what my timeline was with my pulmonary embolism. And I know what the timeline was for a couple average Joes that had blood clots in their calves and ankle or knee, whatever. And they were on blood thinners for 90 days or more. And that's typically what the treatment is for a blood clot. Is you're on blood thinners for 90 days and then they reevaluate. Now, obviously, Dame Lillard, being a multi-millionaire, probably has, and being an NBA player, has more medical access than obviously I do. But I would still be surprised if we see Damian Lillard again this season. But it would be 2 years in a row that we possibly don't see Giannis and Damian Lillard playing together come playoff time, which is going to be frustrating. Because at the end of the day, when Damian Lillard came in, got traded for, it was excitement because Giannis and Dame were going to be an unstoppable force in the playoffs. But we just haven't seen it. And at this point, without Dame, the Bucks are basically Giannis and everybody else. Now, you traded Middleton for Kuzma. You traded for Kevin Porter Jr. You got Jericho Sims, traded for him. You got some nice young pieces in Sims and Kevin Porter Jr. to try to build around with Giannis. But the question is, if you fall out in the first round of the playoffs, as painful as this is to say, and it's not painful because Doc is a great coach. I know he has a championship and he's won a lot of games, but he hasn't shown that he's a great coach yet in Milwaukee. It's painful because you would then be paying 4 coaches at the same time if you let go of Doc right now. I think you seriously got to consider letting Doc go if you don't go very far in the playoffs. I think you have to really consider it. As painful on the pocketbook for the Bucks as it's going to be, having to now pay 4 coaches that aren't there anymore. I think they might be done paying Budenholzer now that he took a job, but maybe not. But Adrian Griffin, they're still paying, and if you get rid of Doc, now you're paying him the remainder of his contract. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be the worst thing in the world to let Doc Rivers go, and here's why. So the Bucks, and I get Adrian Griffin was losing the team. They didn't want to play for him anymore. You had to make the move. I get all of that. But since Doc Rivers, and I talked about this 2 weeks ago, since he has taken over as head coach of the Bucks have just not been very good. There's really nothing they do well. The offense looks completely staged, bad at times. The defense looks atrocious at times. There's nothing the Bucks do well. And there's definitely nothing they do consistency. They have 1 or 2 quarters a game where they just look abysmal, like the worst team the NBA has ever seen. And then there's quarters where the Bucks look like the best team in the NBA. Go back to their win over the Nuggets a few weeks back when they played 4 quarters of really good basketball. The problem is they don't do it enough. And Doc, as I said, they just don't do anything good with right now. Like, try to tell me one thing the Bucks are good at. I would say I have all night, but I don't. But there's really not one thing the Bucks do really well, especially consistently. There's nothing they do very well consistently. And it's frustrating watching the Bucks. It's frustrating as a Bucks fan knowing the talent that they have and just seeing how much they struggle at times. And when you're a team of basically just nothing but role players, it's going to happen. It's going to be up and down. There's going to be frustration. And that's really what the Bucks look like right now. Giannis is really the only consistent player on the Bucks. I think he should be getting more MVP love, but he's not, and he's never going to again. I've been quite vocal on that unfortunately Giannis will not win another MVP at all, especially if he remains in Milwaukee. And then I guess the conversation, if the Bucks bow out early this year, what do you do? And I've heard a couple people talk about, well, you basically need to make everybody available, including Giannis, because you have no first-round draft picks and you really don't have much ability to rebuild the team around Giannis. But my thing is, my opinion, like it or not, agree with it or not, Giannis is a Milwaukee Buck until he says he wants to be a Milwaukee Buck. If Giannis asks to be traded, if Giannis comes out and says, I can't do this here anymore, trade me, that's literally the only way I trade Giannis. Because at least with Giannis, you're going to be competitive. You're going to be competitive and you're going to fight for playoff spots. And hopefully you find the right group of talent you can put around Giannis before he asks to leave or before he ages out and retires, so you can try to make at least one more championship run. And I felt with a healthy Giannis, Middleton, and Dame, the Bucks had an opportunity to make a championship run, but we never saw those three healthy long enough at the same time. Never saw them together in the playoffs, and now it looks like another year we're not going to see Giannis and Dame together in the playoffs. So if the Bucks do let Doc go, the question is going to be who replaces him. Obviously, there's Darvin Ham, who got paid a lot of money to come back to be Doc's right-hand man. Not sure how I'd feel about that. I think he's a really good coach, but I think you need to just basically get rid of the whole coaching staff and start from scratch if you move on from Doc. There's also Tyler Jenkins, who just got let go by the Grizzlies, who did really well with the Grizzlies. He got let go while fighting for a 4 or 5 seed in the Western Conference. So it's not like his team was really bad. They just made a change for, I don't really know why. But he would be another option to look at to try to bring in here to be the head coach. And I don't think it'll take long for the team to get the system down, as Giannis and Brook, if he's back, and some of the role guys, they know the system from their days playing with Mike Budenholzer. Finally, NFL owners meeting. Some rules changes. So now both teams get an opportunity with the football in overtime. It's not the first team to score a touchdown wins. Both teams are going to have a chance with the ball no matter what. So if a team scores a touchdown, the other team has a chance to try to score a touchdown to tie it back up. And I'm kind of torn on this. Like, come playoff time, it makes sense, but regular season, overtime's only 10 minutes. It's sudden death. And we've seen a lot of games recently in overtime go down to the final seconds before a team wins it. And with just 10-minute overtime lengths, there's really not going to be a lot of opportunities for possessions unless you score rather quickly. And if a team is smart, they're going to basically take as much time off the clock as they can possibly take off the clock before scoring to leave you with very little time. One of the other rules is touchbacks kicked into the end zone are not going to be fielded at the 35 instead of the 30. It used to be the 20, then it was the 25, then the 30, now the 35. And if that doesn't work, is the NFL going to move it to the 40 or the 45? And this is where it's kind of mind-boggling with the NFL. The NFL moved the kicker back, moved the touchback because they were worried, and they changed the kickoff altogether because they're worried about injuries on special teams, on kickoff and kickoff return especially. So now they're mad because they're not getting enough returns. So now they're trying to find ways to encourage kickoff return. So basically the kicker is going to kick it short of the end zone intentionally every time, so the returner has a chance to return it, because now the NFL wants those returns. I don't really know what the NFL wants. They are going to allow some replay assists to help make sure some calls are correct. And they're also going to stop using the old-fashioned chains for measurements. They're going to be using an electronic system to determine if the yard to gain was met or not, which I think is long overdue, because I think we saw in the Buffalo-Kansas City game, I want to say it was, where Josh Allen tried to get that first down. There was literally no angle that could conclusively say that ball crossed the yard to gain. There was just no angle where you could say safely that ball crossed. Now, if you have the technology to have something go off when it goes to past the yard to gain, now you're taking that element out of it. It's not about did the ball cross it or not. I think you also got to make it happen if the ball crosses the goal line, because sometimes it's hard to tell if the ball crossed at the goal line or not because of the big pileups. The rules that did not happen. So the tush push was tabled. And for those Eagles fans and more that are celebrating that the tush push is coming back, tap the brakes a little bit. The NFL owners meet again in May. They didn't get the votes this go around, so they tabled it. If Roger Goodell didn't want didn't want the rule changed, they would have just did the vote and been done with it. 16 said yes, 16 said no. If they wanted the tush push allowed, they would have just said, "Hey, rules, it got voted down. We're keeping it." But they tabled it. They tabled it because they want to give the 16 teams that are against it enough time to try to lobby 8 more teams to say, let's ban it. That's why they tabled it. And we're going to see come May if that's going to come back to be banned before the season starts. Another thing is they tabled reshuffling playoff seeding once the season's over and not go by division winners, but go by teams with best records. They tabled that too, which means that they're open to it. They just need some more time to think about it. And then finally, I'll talk about this next week. Matt LaFleur and Gute and the Packers offseason. I'm going to go into that in great detail next week for Talking Sports with Evan. Kind of reach my cap here. I try not to go too much over 30 minutes, especially when I'm by myself. So I'm going to table Packers chatter until next week to give my thoughts there. The NFL draft is fast approaching. And if you want my exclusive draft content, make sure you follow me on X at Evan with Sports and on YouTube, Talking Sports with Evan. I will be at the NFL draft in Green Bay, shooting content and posting it to my Twitter and my Talking Sports with Evan Facebook page and my Talking Sports with Evan YouTube page. But any interviews, any audio I get is going to be exclusive to YouTube. So make sure you're following there. I am working on an interview with a NFL draft prospect for next week to talk about his experience through pro days and trying to get ready for the NFL draft. So podcast version of the show will be published first thing tomorrow morning. Until then, I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Hope you have a great weekend when we get to that. And I guess I will talk to you next week. This has been Talking Sports with Evan. Talk to you later.